let's shift our focus to another quarterback in the National Football League that's under a lot of conversation right now, and that is Arizona Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. Now, while we were down there in Los Angeles, a lot of other things started to come out about the whole situation. You know, I was on the flight to LA back last Sunday before we had the whole Radio Row week, and we were watching him in the Pro Bowl, and there was no real mention of anything going on. However, he's removed all Arizona Cardinals affiliation from his social media. He's unfollowed them. And all of us were talking in LA at the campfire at our nice Airbnb that we had in a 4-bedroom house. It was beautiful as is, beautiful weather. And the conversation was like, is this a leverage move by his agent, or is Kyler Murray really frustrated with what's going on? Because the media and even fans have started to turn on Kyler Murray now a little bit. So, I want to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, first of all, why is it that every Oklahoma quarterback gets all up in his feelings? Like, what's going on in Norman where these guys don't have thick enough skin to handle?
Hey, they were all transfers for a reason.
Yeah, there might be something to that. Like, all kidding aside, there might be something to that. But look, the Cardinals have absolutely every incentive to make this work. I don't think Kyler Murray is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the planet, but he might be one of the 10 best. And you can win a Super Bowl with one of the 10 best quarterbacks on the planet. And they haven't had that kind of stability. They haven't had that kind of high-end competence at that position probably since Kurt Warner, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't even there for too long.
Right. So this is a player that you want to build around. Who was it? Jimmy Johnson. Everybody says, yeah, I have the same rule for everyone. They have their own rules. Like, yeah, you're going to make exceptions for spectacular players that you're not going to make for the backup left guard. So it just, obviously these leaks are coming from somewhere within the organization. Mort didn't just fabricate them. They obviously came from somebody pretty high up, and I'm not going to speculate who, but I have my speculations who it might be. But it came from someone pretty high up in that organization. What was why would you, what are you trying to get accomplished if the dude's sensitive already, and that you're entering a sensitive time in contract negotiations with the guy? What's the point? Like, you're not going to replace him this year. Kyler Murray is going to be the quarterback in 2022. All you're doing is making it more difficult that he's your quarterback beyond 2022. And to me, I just don't see the logic in it. Maybe someone smarter than me can figure it out, but why would you want to take an already uncomfortable situation? Let's be clear. I think Kyler Murray needs to grow up some. And from everything we've read and heard, that he does lacks some maturity at times. But you knew that going in. It's not like this guy was Mr. Grunt. Like, he flirted with Major League Baseball at the combine, right? I mean, yeah, it's nothing new. So are you growing tired of it? Well, then you knew what you hired. What are you complaining about it now? To me, it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, Dalton, your thoughts on it as well, because the Cardinals got off to such a red-hot start, and Kyler Murray was making these spectacular plays, both with his legs and just he's a Houdini guy. He's super hard to beat, to get down. I'll never forget week 1 when they were taking on the Tennessee Titans, being able to step up the way that he did and maneuver up and then deliver a dime downfield. I mean, he was efficient. And all of a sudden, they got off to such a hot start. All of us were thinking, oh, my goodness, the Arizona Cardinals, they're legitimate this year. Cliff Kingsbury, the rise of Kyler Murray. And then we started to see it sputter, and it all started with that Green Bay Packers game where he threw the interception to Rasul Douglas because AJ Green didn't run the right route there, and that miscommunication. Then he got hurt, missed some time. I mean, you had to have Colt McCoy come in and play quarterback, and he did serviceably do well in that situation there. But I think everything went downhill when you lose DeAndre Hopkins. But all of a sudden right now, I see it from a lot of Arizona Cardinals fans. They have now shifted their frustration towards Kyler Murray. And look, granted, Adam, I think you make a great point. You do have to do some maturation. You're a star quarterback in the NFL, but these moves right here is typically what we see in young relationships, in high school relationships. Like, oh, I'm going to scrub this social media here. I'm going to delete this picture. They're never going to know that we were ever something. And I definitely think that could be a leverage play, like you mentioned, by his agent. He still does have 2 years on his contract, but you make a great point. The things that are happening right now and what the Cardinals organization does and what Kyler Murray does between now and the start of the next season will determine whether or not he'll even be back in Arizona after 2022. I think it's a great point to touch on. Dalton, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, this is just kind of what happens in a contract situation. Sometimes it was leaked that he might ask for $50 million a year, and then it gets leaked that he has maturity issues and the team isn't very happy with him. Listen, his what you want to call them maturity issues. I don't really know what you can call them. It's well documented. Dating back to high school, he and his father, and especially his father, have been issues dating back to their time at Allen. And so this is nothing new. There's a reason he left Texas A&M for Oklahoma, and there's a reason why these rumors are out now. He is not Joe Burrow. He is not Dak Prescott. He is not the, all-American great guy. But you don't have to be the best guy in the world to be a damn good quarterback. Yeah, and that's what he is. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is one of the top 10 worst people in the NFL, probably. And he might be the most talented quarterback of all time.
Did you just call Aaron Rodgers one of the 10 worst people in the NFL?
He probably is.
What are your metrics? What are your advanced stats for the bottom 10 people in the National Football League?
Oh man, I mean, spreading disinformation for an entire year on Pat McAfee show every Tuesday.
I mean, I guess that
he's
is
not the only
fair.
one in the NFL that doesn't believe in vaccines.
No, he's definitely not the only one, but he's the only one that has a weekly show. He's the only one with a weekly show. He is the one, and I have stories about his ex-girlfriend that we could talk about for days. But no, he attracts a certain person in relationships, and then they leave him. And if they are the ones leaving him, that kind of tells you how he is as a person and how difficult he is to work with.
You've got some added.
I got a big Danica story that I'm not going to tell because it's not really my story to tell. But not the nicest person in the world, Danica. Kyler's fine, but Kyler's going to be fine. Kyler's going to be the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler, I wrote about him after a couple weeks this year. He is a freeze tag champion with a weaponized arm. He's a freak of nature. If he gets it, he's going to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. However, there is that little issue of him being very short, and that's a legitimate issue, guys. Drew Brees, we saw him for 15 years stand on his tiptoes in the pocket. Kyler Murray is shorter than he is. The offensive line has not gotten any smaller. So he does have issues throwing over the middle sometimes. He needs to find his own throwing hallways by shifting in the pocket. He can't just throw over offensive and defensive linemen, and that is a little bit of an issue. The other issue is the defense fell apart. The defense was overachieving at the beginning of the season. The offense started to tumble a little bit after DeAndre Hopkins went away with injury, and they weren't able to pick it up on offense. And that's all it really comes down to. They overachieved in the beginning of the season. Kyler got hurt. He wasn't the same after the ankle injury. He didn't have all the mobility that he once had, and that hurt his play. The defense didn't play as good, and it happened in the playoffs too. So they're going to be okay. He's going to be okay. It is what it is.
Tommy Garrett says Kyler is staying in Arizona, but for spring training,
Surprise,
if it
baby.
happens.
Surprise.
Josh Rosen somewhere is laughing.